Hi, this is Sherri from Books and Radio Plays, and I've had a really lousy few months. I wanted to do the film in February, and everything went wrong. I mean, I've tried to do this 9 times now, and every time something goes wrong, it's just really a pain. But this is my last shot, so cross your fingers and toes that this time I get it to work. So the first one, a question I remember, was a early book that your parents read to you that still loved and was a big influence. So Bambi was the first one, and my dad used to read it. I love when my dad read stories. He did all the voices and everything. He was so cute. My mom read his stories too, but she didn't do the voices. She just was cute. um, both my parents were readers. And I have a Bambi somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So I grabbed the digital DVD of it. So it's a nice cover. I think it's an anniversary edition. Yeah, platinum. So it's very nice. The first time I read Bambi myself, I think I was 4, maybe 3 or 4. Well, when your parents read you a story a lot, you kind of memorize it. So that was the first time I read it myself. Also, the first time I remember seeing it as a movie was in my pajamas in the back of my dad's station wagon with a lot of blankets and pillows, and mom made food, and it was really fun. I always loved going to the drive-in because mom used to make these delicious meals. And so that was the first time. The other two movies that were firsts for me were Snow White and Cinderella. Snow White, I went to see at a regular movie theater, and that was for my birthday. And the next day, I had the mumps. Um, so I spent the rest of the week in bed. But I did get to play with all my toys that I got, so that was fun. Um, but yeah, Snow White. And then the third one was Cinderella. I think we went to see that at the theater too. Nothing exciting happened, just we went to see the movie. Um, but yeah, I love all three. I have a Bambi, a little Bambi, and I have a lot of Snow Whites. Um, and I have a lot of Cinderella and the Prince dancing. Well, one with them actually dancing, and then a lot of them holding each other like they're going to go dance. And yeah, the most valuable thing I have, I don't know if it's valuable anymore because of all the sad things it went through, was my Snow White watch. Um, I think I got it on my 8th birthday. And the next year we had a major quake. And I got the beautiful holder. It had Snow White and an apple, and inside the apple was where the watch was. And it was just beautiful. And unfortunately, the earthquake just smashed it to pieces. The watch was safe, it did its job. In fact, I still have it, it's still ticking. But then my the leather yellow band broke, and we couldn't find a match for it. And my father just got one of those, what do you call it? It's a it's like a it's not a, it's like a watch band, but it's flexible. And it was like silver and didn't look anything like my Snow White watch, but it still says Snow White on the watch, so it's still my Snow White watch. But yeah, probably not worth anything due to all the trouble. But so yeah, and I'm still a collector of Disney stuff. Um, what was the last one I got? Oh, well, now it's owned by Disney. I got an Indiana Jones doll. That was the last one I think I got from Disney. Um, so Bambi was the first childhood memory. The next question was about a book that was a movie, and this is one of my favorite tie-in book covers. This is from Somewhere in Time, and I was working at Universal at the time, so I actually got this book at a discount. And I actually got to see the movie at Universal. They because I wasn't a tour guide yet. I worked on the tour um, at that time in the parking lot, and but it was open for everybody. So and my dad used to pick me up from work, and I told him I'm going to be a little late because I'm going to see a new movie that's coming out. And he says, "Great. What time?" And I asked my boss, and he says, "About 2 hours." So I said, "It's supposed to be about 2 hours." He goes, "Okay, I'll pick you up in a couple of hours." My dad's always early. He was there probably an hour and a half. Um, but I love the movie. I love the book more. And it's not the first time I ever saw something by Richard Matheson because I grew up watching Twilight Zone, and Richard Matheson did several of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes. But it was the first time I actually read a book by him. And I fell in love with it. And the cover's really pretty, isn't it? Next one was a book that I saw the movie first, which is a lot of the time actually. I usually see the movie first and before I read the book. But this what the copy of this copy of the book is my one of my newest The Time Machine uh, editions. But the one I have is straight from the original printer. It's really very plain. It doesn't have a cover, but it's really a nice copy. And because it's from the original printer, I don't actually read it. So I read one of my other copies of it. But Time Machine was one of the first movies that I found out, oh, it has a book. Then we usually went to the used bookstore on the weekend because it was a big used bookstore that was down the block, and our whole family kind of just trooped down the block and went and invaded the bookstore. Um, but yeah, I love The Time Machine. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do anything about that. It's just I haven't had much sleep lately. A lot of noise in this building. Um, what was I saying? Oh, I love the movie. Um, Rod Taylor. How can you not love Rod Taylor? Um, I I watch every movie Rod Taylor's in, even movies I normally wouldn't want to watch. I watched because Rod Taylor was in the movie, um, and Yvette Mignon, who was not only a brilliant actress, but she was also a director and a producer, and she flew her own plane, and she was amazing, amazing woman. Whoops. Sorry, that was Pie. She got very curious about the stand. Um, and I love the movie. So when I found the book in the bookstore, I had to get it. It wasn't very expensive considering that it was from the original publisher, but I just love it. Yes and yes, I still have it. But this one was easier to get because it's with my new editions. Um, and I also highly recommend both the movie and the book. They're really different from each other in many ways. Um, there's more philosophy in the book because H.G. Wells was full of philosophy. It's very charming philosophy, but still it's full of, yeah, his beliefs and stuff. Actually, I didn't pick that up until I was older. 'Cause the first time I read it, I think I was in junior high school. And I didn't pick up the political stuff until I was in college. But it doesn't matter. It's a great book. I wholly, highly, and fully recommend it. Now, this is one of my all time favorite movies, Breakfast at Tiffany's. I mean, Audrey Hepburn at her most effervescent and beautiful, and Patricia Neal, classy, Buddy Epson, wonderful. George Peppard, wonderful. Although later, of course, he became known as a rather problematic actor, but he's a great actor. And everybody cast in it, except for one person, was really perfect. And Blake Edwards apologized for casting Mickey Rooney as the Japanese photographer because not only did it not make sense having him be a Japanese photographer, he went really over the top with his portrayal of the photographer, and great disappointment that that was there. But the first time I saw it, I didn't even recognize him. I didn't know it was him. I didn't know. I just thought it was weird. Um, but Blake Edwards has he has his own sense of humor. I love the um, blanked out on it. Clouseau, Clouseau movies, but there's some really, really, really weird things in those movies. So even though they're classics, now the book, the book is beautifully written, characters well drawn. The city of New York sparkles. Um, the description of the parties, you feel like you're there. But when I watched the movie, I loved Holly Golightly. When I read the book, I didn't like her at all. She was not a likable character. I was so disappointed. Oh, uh, it was just, she said some things that were terrible. And she was just, she was not a nice person. And that shocked me. Yes, I'm not going to get rid of it. First of all, I love this little, it's one of the little cloth bound book editions, and it's so pretty. And I'm going to keep the book. But yeah, I was so disappointed in the character of Holly Golightly. I don't understand why he wanted Marilyn Monroe to play her as that awful character, because Marilyn Monroe could play nasty. I mean, I've seen her do that, but I just don't understand why he did that. Why he made her such a horrible person. It was very sad to me. This is one of my many editions of The Great Gatsby. It's one of my all time favorite books. As I was saying about Truman Capote, uh, Fitzgerald, he wrote so beautifully. It was so poetic, and it captures you, and it captures the characters, and it captures the city, and it is so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful books I've ever read, and one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. Now, I'll start with the movie. The first time I ever saw the movie, it was with Robert Redford, Mia Farrow. Can't remember the name of the man that played Mia Farrow's husband. Very good actor. But him. And sorry, age. Um, and Sam Waterston played Nick. Nick happens to be my favorite character in the book. He is. He's very interesting. He's obviously looking back at it when he was an older man at his young youthful time in New York, and the people he met, and how it changed his mind about staying there and stuff. I'm not going to spoil. Um, Beautiful movie. I know some people are not. It says it follows the book too closely and it's kind of bland, and I don't think so. I think it's beautiful. I've watched all of the different renditions of The Great Gatsby. After this, my second favorite one is the one with Toby. Never remember. He's Maggie Smith's son, and he's of course got his father's name, and I can't think of it at the moment. But I will put it in the description. That's my second favorite. Um, After this, uh, the Leonardo DiCaprio one, I just don't like. I'm sorry. I know there are people that love that movie, but I don't like it. They took away Nick's best part, the end of the whole thing, the thing that brings the whole movie together. They took that whole speech away, and what they replaced it with was not worthy of the original from Fitzgerald. It just, oh my god. And it seemed to focus more on the party life than the what the story was actually about. Um, yeah. Sorry, I know there are a lot of fans of his out there, the man who directed it, and I know a lot of people love it, but that is my least favorite, The Great Gatsby. Um, I have one, two, three, four, 5 copies of The Great Gatsby, and one of them is from the original publisher. I got it at the same uh, used bookstore that I was telling about earlier. And that's another book that I don't read from because it's so important to me. So this is my newest edition. I kind of like it. It's kind of crazy, but I like it. The next book I love utterly. If you're a reader and you love books and you like England or Great Britain, uh, it's just a wonderful book and it's a wonderful movie. And uh, if you've never seen it, watch it. If you've ever read it, read it. I guarantee you will walk away from either of those with a bunch of books written down that you've never heard of before that you're interested in, if you're a reader. Um, the movie is brilliant. It's produced by Mel Brooks as a Valentine's gift to his wife, Anne Bancroft, who fell in love with the book. And she is brilliant as Helene. and Anthony Hopkins plays Frank, the bookseller in England. And it's just Judi Dench plays his wife. That's early Judi Dench. People didn't know her yet in America, but I had already seen her in a TV series on PBS, so I was quite aware of her. My mom was a humongous fan of Judi Dench, so I pretty much grew up watching her in whatever she was in. But this is a great movie. It's a great movie for people who like period pieces because it starts right after World War II and ends in the 60s. And it also is actually, no, probably the 70s because her outfit at the end of the movie probably is the 70s. Um, and it's about a lady who wants specific English books, and she can't find them in New York. I mean, except for very, very expensive editions that she can't afford. And so she finds this ad in one of the literary magazines and she starts writing to them. So, but her letters aren't just about the book she wants. She has whole conversations with these people and she sends them gifts because they're still rationing. So she sends them food that they can't get there and uh, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful movie, which of course led me that I had to read the wonderful, wonderful book. And this is my copy. I have two copies of it, but I like this one best. Maybe, I don't know, maybe because it's the 25th anniversary edition, but I love it because it shows the front of the shop. Really cool. Now it's gone. I think there's a McDonald's there or something. So sad. That whole block where it used to be at Cherry Cross Road used to be bookstores, and now it's like the Gap and McDonald's and things you could get anywhere in the world. Um, that's always sad to me. But yeah, really, 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 really love this book. If you love books, she talks about fiction and nonfiction, mostly nonfiction, but a lot of poetry. She introduced me to poets I'd never heard of, and she talks about books that are fiction, like Pride and Prejudice is in it. Um, but it's such a great book. I so highly recommend it. And the movie. Don't I don't know if you're the type who wants to read the book first and then see the movie. They're basically the same. It doesn't matter. Both are brilliant. Both are absolutely worth watching. I've always loved Robert Redford. And I saw All the President's Men when it came out when I was a teen. So it's not like I wasn't aware. I never read the book, and until recently. And so when he died, I started by watching my favorites. You know, I watched Barefoot in the Park and The Way We Were and Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid and Sting. I mean, he was in so many wonderful movies. Oh, and Sneakers. Don't forget Sneakers. Um, but I was watching All the President's Men, and I was watching on my computer, and on on the side they had interviews with Woodward and Bernstein talking about, you know, it was the interviews were after Robert Redford died, and they were talking about how involved he was, not just creating the movie with them, but helping them structure their book. I find that really interesting because I mean, he did write some screenplays, so he is a writer. But he's talking to two writers who were very, very good at their job as writers for the Washington Post, and he convinced him, and they changed the entire structure of their book because of Robert Redford's input. Um, I just found it fascinating. I kind of took a deep dive. There were two ones that he was in that either I hadn't seen or read, or I'd seen and read and didn't remember. Like, I'd seen All the President's Men. I didn't read the book. The other movie and book was Ordinary People. I never saw it, never read it, and I took like a deep dive into both of them. So you're lucky Ordinary People's on here isn't on here too, because I was fascinated by it. I think the reason I didn't watch it was because I didn't want to see Mary as a nasty person, which is really stupid because she's such a fine actress. But I think that's why. But I loved the movie when I finally saw it. And I loved All the President's Men. So perfectly cast. I mean, just a great, great book, great movie. If you've never read or watched All the President's Men, it's so current to what's happening. You just got to read it. It's absolutely fascinating and brilliant. And you can see I have a used book copy and I don't care. I'm happy with it. Okay, there's one more coming.